Mark, you've had a busy week. Not only have you got a season starting, but you've got a house extension to talk about as well with Ben signing a new deal.
Yeah, brilliant news. Feels like we're signing a new player without getting a new body. So really pleased for Ben. I think he's been outstanding last year. He's actually showed a real maturity about himself in his game intelligence, himself as a player, and he's very, very quiet but well respected within the group for who he is and what he brings. So I'm personally really, really pleased with that, because he's a huge part of what we're doing, and he deserves it.
Absolutely, it's great recognition for the efforts that he's had, but also good security for you as the head coach and for the club in general, in terms of if he continues to perform well, he's somebody that at least you can get a fee for as well. Yeah,
look, selfishly I'm delighted because I think he's a fantastic player, but more important than me is the club, and I think we've got real asset value there. I talked about Ben a lot last year, not to try and promote and sell him, because he deserves the recognition that and the rewards for what he's done. And first and foremost, as a parent, you want your kids to have the best opportunity in life, and I'm not Ben's dad, but I look at these boys as I make decisions for them like I would with my own kids. So I want him to go on and have the best career he can have, and if it's with Lincoln, brilliant, and if he moves quicker than we do, then good luck to him. So I think he's got all the attributes to play a lot higher.
Ethan Hamilton also coming into the club from Accrington. What is it about him that you like?
Good question. I actually went to watch Accrington really early last year, and he really caught my eye in the game. So he's somebody that I've personally kept an eye on. He's got real leadership qualities. He's proven at this level. He's technically very good. He's got a real steel about him. He can break lines with the ball. He can distribute the ball over a longer distance, and I think his game understanding is very good. I think he's good size, good athleticism, so brings a physicality to the group. But I think we've got a man coming into our dressing room, and I don't say that in terms of we're surrounded by young kids, because we're not. We've shown that last year, but I think as an all-round player, he's got a lot going for him, and really, really pleased to get him, and also a little bit surprised, because I thought he'd have a few more suitors. I know he had plenty of people looking at him, but just really pleased and grateful that the club got that one done.
It feels like, if I look through your signings this summer, physicality is an important part of it. I think only one of the outfield players you've signed is under 6 foot, or under 6'2" even. Is that part of it? Clearly they have to have more to their game, but was that maybe a concern looking at last season, that you needed more physicality?
Brilliant question. Yes is the answer in a nutshell, but there's more to it than that. I remember doing a presentation on my pro licence on Jose Mourinho, and we got given tasks, and my one was to do on him. And the first thing I noticed when he went into Manchester United was changed. The height of the team went up an inch or something, I can't remember, in his first transfer window, and it really stuck with me, that. But ultimately brought in really good players, and that's what we've done. And it was funny, in the summer I went on holiday, and I went to Spain with my wife and my kids, and I was in the airport and I got a tap on the shoulder from a League One manager. And he was like, bloody hell, he said, are you going long ball, physical? And I was like, no, boy. And he's like, you've signed so-and-so. And he mentioned Rico, and Rico's a really good example. Rico is a real technical player, really, really technical, but he's 6'3". If he was 5'10", I still would have signed him. The fact that he's 6'3" is a bonus. So to answer your question, yes it is, but they have to have the attributes to add to what we're doing. We're not going to be, without being disrespectful, a Wimbledon of the 80s. That's not us. We're a really good counter-press and counter-attacking team. I think we play really, really exciting football when we're allowed to. But the league is very, very physical. We played Rotherham last week. It was absolutely back to front. Every goal kick went forward. Every set piece in their half, before the halfway line, the keeper was coming. And I know they're in the Championship, but that's the reality of the Championship and League One.
Looks like you've got a lot of your business done in terms of players coming in, maybe around 3/4, which is further ahead than this time last year. That must be a real help for you in terms of trying to build the team together and get pattern of play going.
Yeah, 100%. And also I think it's very good for the club that we're not relying on what we, if you would like to call them, A-star loans. And also it means that next summer, when it comes round, you're starting the season with a core group of players, whereas in the summer, there was only There's only 3 players that left us, the others were loaned, so we lost 10 players, but 80% of them or 70% of them released weren't our players anyway. So moving forward, we'll always have a good core group of players and a good starting point. And I think also what it helps the club do is create and build asset value, which is really important for the future of the club.
I think one of the things that fans are really going to notice is the change in officiating. I think you've had quite a lot of briefings from referees. We even in the media had one this week talking about, I think there's 2 sort of key areas, and one is the timekeeping. And I've just watched one of the Women's World Cup games, and they played 9 minutes of added time at the end of the second half, and then another 6 minutes for an injury on top of that. Is that going to take a bit of adjusting too? It's going to be quite a lot more time, isn't it?
Yeah, so the big thing was 2 big things, obviously ball in play and making the time that's added on more accurate instead of 30 seconds for a substitution or a goal. Ironically, as soon as I finish this, we're going into a meeting with the referee, and I have been on a course with the EFL about it. So there will be a lot longer added time. There's a few other bits and pieces that will come into play, but I think ultimately you're going to see it'll be very similar to what we've seen in the World Cup in December. And but what they are saying to us and assuring us that it will be consistent and accurate, which is the most important thing.
And what about behaviour of both benches and players? That's the other big area from them, isn't there? As I understand it, if it's you that decides to stand at the end of the technical area, which I assume it would be, it's only you that can do it. You know, any of the coaching staff have to take a step back. You can't crowd the area. That's going to take a bit of adjusting to get used to. Yeah,
look, I don't like that. That will really hamper us. We have huge dialogue throughout games on multiple things. In terms of with our set pieces, we have 2 different people doing 2 different things. So it means when we get set piece, I may have to sit down. So I don't agree with that. We work together as a team. We work together as a unit. We're inclusive in the work we do. There's a head coach that leads it, but we're very inclusive in how we do things. And then what they're saying is you can train all week and work a certain way, but actually when you're getting judged and what you're paid to do, you're not allowed to work together in that. So I don't agree with that, and I think that will certainly have an effect with us. But what we are is respectful of the rules. The game's been around for a long time. It's an amazing game. I don't see why people continually try and change it.
And just finally on behaviours, obviously it's players as well. Do you fear that you might get stages where you've got 2 or 3 players out because yellow cards might prove to be easy to come across?
I think we're an incredibly fair team. Very honest, but very robust. Play the game in the right way. There's certainly rules that have changed which will hamper some of our players. I think where it's difficult is, and I don't think I should get into trouble with it, we had some really bad decisions last year that go on to then have a detrimental effect of people's behaviours, because they're human beings, they're not robots. And we found ourselves in situations where we've been given a letter or a telling off from the FA, and ultimately going, well, actually, if your man did his job properly, that wouldn't have happened. So, no problem with accountability on our part, but you know, I was just in an AFL meeting last week, and it was very contentious about the refereeing in our league, and there was a lot of unhappy managers. I mean, it certainly wasn't friendly. It was a 3-hour meeting that probably should have been about an hour, and most of it was around the standard of officiating and what then becomes the byproduct of that. So, it's all well and good telling us off for doing things, but it has to be reciprocated at the other end, and it has to work both ways.
When you look at the league itself, Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, Plymouth have all gone up. We've got Reading with issues around them, Wigan with issues around them, amongst those coming down, obviously clubs coming up from League 2. Where do you feel the standard is of League 1?
I think, look, it's a very good league. I think it's the most balanced league out of them all in terms of there's so many big teams. If you look at the Premier League, you have there's a real top core group of teams, and probably 3 leagues in that. I think in our league there's a top 12, and I don't mean a bottom 12. Bottom sounds bad, but there's certainly last year there was. We've lost some big guns, but some of the money that's been thrown around in the summer, I just can't get my head around where people are finding the money from, teams that we don't expect. I spoke to a player on Tuesday after training. I was driving home, and I phoned the player, and I was like, "How you doing, buddy? How are you? Where are you at?" And he said, "I'm just about to sign for a club." And I said, "Like, what are they offering?" And he told me, and I was like, "Snap the hand off." He's like, "Really?" I went, "Oh my God, that's just a phenomenal salary for you, for the club, for the position you play in. And he was like, base Sparky really cheered me up kind of thing. I was like, yeah, look, I'm not even going to entertain putting something to you because it wouldn't be fair on you. Good player, good club, both two the individually and collectively two people I look at and go, yeah, I really like both of you and how you do things. But when he told me the figure, I was, wow. That's that. I think our league's, the money that's going around is phenomenal, and obviously fans don't know that, people don't know that, but we've came close this year to some really, really good players. And we're competitive, we're very good, like our board really, really support me in the group, there's no doubt about it, they're really, really fair. We've bought Ethan Arahan and Ethan Hamilton come in, they want to invest in talent, but some of the players that we were after that we felt we actually had a real fighting chance of getting them and presenting went really, really well. And then they got offered counter offers that we were just like, wow. But good luck to people if that's, but I'm just trying to make a point of actually how competitive the league is, not a criticism or a whine. We're very respectful of who we are, what we have, and good luck to anybody else who's got it to spend it. I'm just making a point of how we've lost some big guns in the league, but some people are throwing salaries around that are just bringing different people into play. So I think it'll be tough to answer your question.
In terms of targets, I know you're not going to come out and talk about one here because you don't want to make yourself a hostage to fortune, but internally within the club, do you have targets for the season in terms of what you want to achieve?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I'll tell you out now, I want to improve on what we did last year. Sometimes improvement, the obvious one you think is a league position, but it's making sure that the club's in a better place at the start of next season than it is now. Some of that's off the field, nothing to do with me, I don't mean we're not doing that, that's what we do continually. And it's to make sure that this time next year the trajectory of the club and the curve is going up, and I think we did that last year. I thought we finished a few places higher than where we probably should have finished, so I think we overachieved. So to answer your question, it's not so much a league position I look at, I have that in my head and I know what I want to do and know what I'd like to do. But it's building on last year and making sure that when we start pre-season next year, the club's in a better position than it was this pre-season. And this pre-season we're in a very good position.
And do you think you're quite a different coach than you were a year ago? Not in terms of who you are as a person, but I can remember talking to you before the season and how you were talking about playing football in League One, and that clearly evolved. We talked about the Peterborough game, the Cambridge game. Do you think you're quite different now a year on?
Yeah, 100%. I spoke to somebody recently who brought a new manager in, and I was like, wow, hope it goes really well from a really good guy, brilliant reputation. And I was just thinking the position that you're in when you go in and you have all these ideas and thoughts of what it looks like, and the reality is probably quite different, and you're learning on the job. I mean, you have your core principles and your values and your philosophies, but the reality of what you can do, maybe what you want to do, good and bad, was very, very... The team I have now, the team that I look at and I'm really, really proud of, the players individually and collectively, of who they are as footballers and people, that's probably a million miles from what I started out with last year, but really, really pleased, privileged and proud of what we have now.
And do you feel one of your strengths that you can learn and evolve? Because there are some people who are very fixated as coaches that this is the way they want to do things. Do you think that's, for you, one of your strengths?
Yes, and also some people will feel it's a weakness. I've definitely lost a couple of jobs in football for having an opinion and standing my ground. I'm not somebody who'll roll over and have his belly tickled. I'm very principled, and if I disagree with you, I'll tell you, but I'll tell you why. A couple of people didn't like that, and because they want yes men. So on that respect, it's arguably somebody might see as a weakness. I believe that's a strength of mine, that I'm honest and upfront, never disrespectful. But I do think I'm very adaptable. I think I'm very good at listening to people, and if we were picking a team tomorrow and I picked a team, the three coaches disagreed with me, we wouldn't play my team. I listen to people, and I think that's good. But if there's something I feel strongly about, I'll let you know.
We better talk about the game. There is a game on Saturday, we'll get to it. You probably couldn't have a tougher opening game to your campaign, away against a team which many people feel will be in and around the automatics.
Sure, 100%, but everybody's got to play each other. And when we played Exeter in the first game last year, I thought it was a good game for us, but we weren't building a team for Exeter, and although we're 14 months in now, we're not building a team for Bolton. So irrespective of what happens, we'll continue to grow as we are. But yeah, you couldn't have picked a difficult game. There's an argument to say it's a good time to play because it's the first game of the season, but we'll approach the game like we have with every other game last year, and we're going to Bolton to win a game of football and get 3 points.
And finally, you go into this game with tactical flexibility, don't you? When you look at it, you talked about this last week, you can play 2 up, you can play 3 up. And I also look at your squad now, and compared to last season, 60 minutes in, you can probably look round and have some options, whereas maybe it was a bit more limited last campaign.
Yeah, we were very limited last year. I mean, I think the strength of the squad is a lot stronger, is a lot superior now. And I think on a good day when everybody's fit and everybody's available, we should have a very powerful squad.